everyone. We're back here again with the Bad Iron Podcast on Thursday, September 19th. I've got Fonty back with me. Thank the Lord. It was rough last weekend, treading through some of these games on my own without his expertise, although he did send me the Baylor Bears pick via text, so was able to capitalize on that one. But still, rough week last week. We had two Bad Iron losses, as I would call it. But we'll get in that in a little bit more later. But in the meantime, Fonty, how are you today?
I'm good. I got to tell you, I missed you last week. Great job on the pod.
Okay.
But yeah, that Baylor game was fantastic. Maybe it's hard to beat Air Force, right? I mean, come
Their
on.
style.
One of our armed services. But yeah, their style. Holy smokes! It took me about a quarter and a half to figure out where all these players are running. But it was a great game. Good pick. Definitely excited about today. Glad to be back.
Well, yeah, you all held them to 7, right? You held them to 7 points despite that quirky offense. Is that right?
That's correct.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good deal. Good deal. So you got to have a fun weekend. You were just telling me about right before we started. You want to expand on that a little bit more? Or?
I did. Boy, I got to play in a Champions Tour Pro-Am. Super exciting. It's nice to kind of see the course layout, see what these guys face week in and week out. I mean, look, we fancy ourselves as halfway decent golfers, and to step up there and compare your game to these older but highly successful players. Had a chance to see Miguel and Angel Jimenez,
Nice.
Steve Stricker, right? Got to see John Daly, a couple of others. Really exciting times. I mean, I got to tell you this, right? So I played with this guy. I'm not going to name his name, right? Don't want this to go viral. I don't want him to kind of hunt me down. But he actually played really well in the Pro-Am. By my count, he was 4 under. Now, our team finished second place.
Nice.
We did pretty well, and he helped us out on a couple of holes, right? But of course, the first day, Friday, that's the first day the Champions Tour plays. They're a 3-day event. So on Friday afternoon, I'm looking at my phone. I'm checking it out. Like, what's this guy? You know, did he shoot 2 under, 3 under? Where is he on the leaderboard? And I'm scrolling on my phone, and I'm not seeing this gentleman's
Maybe
name.
he went
Continue
through.
scrolling. Yep, I'm thinking, oh, maybe a back injury, right? Like,
Yeah.
oh gosh, poor guy, right? Keep scrolling, and there he is. DFL. And for some folks, you can figure out what the F stands for, but that stands for dead last. He shot 80 in the opening round. 80. I mean, holy smokes, man. I mean, you can't be running around on the Champions Tour shooting a bunch of 80s. I will say conditions were tough, really hard course. I think Stricker ended up winning in a playoff at maybe 8 under for 3 days. So, look, it wasn't easy. They weren't just on a birdie festival, but 80, man.
So you played on
got me
Wednesday.
thinking.
You played on the Thursday before?
Yeah. Correct.
Gotcha. So it was pretty close to the conditions of the course probably for the tournament, but not 80 bad, not 80 conditions for a pro.
It got me thinking. I've got 2.5 years until I'm 50. Like, no, I'm just kidding.
Are you that
my
old?
game is nowhere near.
Well, I'm 2 years beyond.
I'm nowhere near. Yeah, I'm nowhere near as
2 years
talented as
beyond.
those guys are. But
I don't know. You might have been able to pull
so
an 80.
I have no doubt. I would have shot, 78, 79 and clipped them. And anyways, we won't get into that.
Well, that's anytime you could play in a course where the pros are playing. Did you get to see Miguel warm up and do his famous lunges and whatever warm-ups? Did you get to see that? Because that's his most famous thing.
I saw him.
That's a cigar.
Yeah, I saw him down there hitting golf balls. I didn't see him warm up. I didn't see him doing any of those. I was trying to focus on my own game, right? Had to contribute to that team score. Haha. But I did see a number of guys kind of going through a routine. It kind of actually got me thinking, right? What's my routine when I get to the golf course? Where do I start? How do I progress through the bag? When do I go putt, chip? Just seeing those guys and how they handle their business was pretty enlightening.
Cool. Well, I'm jealous. Jealous you got to play in an event like that. Played in some of those way back in the day. before most of the people listening here probably were even born. But there's nothing like it. But have you heard have you heard the story? I think it may have happened maybe while you were gone, about the shooting that happened in Kentucky on the interstate. Have you heard about this?
Something. I don't know all the details, but yeah, I keep up enough with the nightly news that I definitely saw something out there.
Yeah, so some guy I just had an AK-47 or AK something up on the woods on the hill, shooting down at cars going by. Luckily, no one was killed, but just like shooting at people, not to bring the mood down. But it's just luckily nobody was killed. A lot of people were hurt, a lot of cars damaged. But he got away into the woods, and he's been missing for over 7 days. I think it's 8 days. And they just found him. And the way they found him, to me, is noteworthy. Maybe not worth a discussion, but it's worth watching. So I'm going to try to play this video. There is this. Have you heard how they got found? How they found his body at all? Okay. So there's this.
No.
There's this older couple in southeastern Kentucky, and I can say anything I want to about southeastern Kentucky. My mom was born there, grew up there. Amazing people there. You can't imagine how dense the forest and you're going to get to see it in this video real quick. Hopefully I get it to play right. But how great the people are and funny they are. Anyway, we're going to watch this a little bit just because I think it's a great story about this couple who has their own website. They're going to go viral now, and you can understand why if they haven't gone viral already. So I'm going to try to share my screen and record this and just play a little bit of this. But this is them, a man and woman, going on live stream on YouTube. But they're out in the woods searching for the body, or searching for this killer, this gunman. That's what they're doing. But I'll let the video kind of speak for itself and kind of try to get your opinion on what you think on this video. Are you able to see what I got?
I'm able to see, and I am itching with excitement and anticipation.
Can you hear it?
I can hear it, but I definitely see the video playing.
You cannot hear it. Okay. So I need
to
fix. Okay. So we'll fix this. Don't worry. This is a technical difficulty, technical glitch. I'm going to reshare my screen. Just a moment. We'll get there. Don't you worry. There's an extra button I think I got to hit. Share sound. Boom. How easy is that? That should have been so easy for me. All right, let's try this again. I'm going to play like a few seconds at the beginning to set it up, and then we'll play towards the end for a few seconds.
Okay, guys, we're live.
Hear it okay?
And we're back at exit 49. Yeah. I don't know if you can see right over there in that tree. Look here, show these 2, 3 here.
Wonder if I can zoom in on live.
We have followed.
Look.
There's about 8 or 10 vultures right there, and over here's another 6 or 8. They're over there with the wings spread. One of them come up a while ago with something in his mouth. So in this area right here,
we are. See, there's 3.
Just wait. They'll light. They're getting ready to light and go down again.
So first of all, you can see how dense that is. You can hear them too talking, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So see how dense that is. So they followed the vultures. There's the entire 6 counties surrounding FBI. They're all looking for this person who's shot at these cars, and they kind of know who it is because he left his car behind. And these 2 older people, I'm going to go a little bit farther forward towards the end. It's a 30-minute long. They filmed 30 minutes of it. It took them about 30 minutes once they found the vultures. So I'm going to go forward just a little bit, kind of watch a little bit more, and then we'll come back.
Introducing Zaxby's new chicken finger tacos.
Thank you.
One with pico and creamy chipotle ranch, and the other with
ALR.
There we go.
Uh-huh. That's right. So if y'all can get in touch with him, tell him that way that he can come by. We will. Thank you, Deacon Mary. Somebody said he's in Ohio today. Somebody said he was in Ohio, but there's something dead here. So I don't know. No, just when the wind blew, like you said, it was stout. Yeah, I don't either, because they were on their way, and then they told us to stay here. So I don't smell it now, baby. But man, it was strong. So it has to be up in this hollow here. Has to be down through here. Cause
Wow.
that's what I'm.
This is going to be a 2020.
You found him?
This is live video.
Oh, my Lanta.
Oh, my Lanta.
I'm coming. Oh, my Lanta. You found him?
Had to blur it out.
Oh, my Lanta. Oh, my Lanta.
Goodness.
Okay. Oh, my Lanta.
This podcast just took a hard left turn, like more than 90 degrees. Holy smokes. Oh, my word.
I mean, you're right. These people are going to be famous, or if not already, they have this company, and you saw it in the YouTube video. Hatfield McCoy something. I don't know. I'm not going to give my promotion, but anyway. So, what are your thoughts on that? It's a 30-second long video, a 30-minute long video. Probably watched it 4 times, all the way through. Just watching them trudge through the woods is hilarious.
So they must have had a thought that he could be dead, and so therefore the vultures are the first indication that there's something that the vultures are preying on or eating on, essentially, right? And so they said, well, hey, let's just follow this and see if we, locate something. And gosh darn, did they not locate this guy who apparently died in some form or fashion, and his body's been decomposing for some amount of time, because the guy said in the video, right? It's he's decomposing, or he, is incapacitated. Yeah, deteriorating. Said some word. Oh my goodness, that is. I mean, head explode emoji times 10.
It is. And we can laugh. Nobody was killed, so I mean, obviously the shooter is dead. But you can laugh about it now. It's been over a week. But if you go back farther in the video, I mean, she talks about the smell too, and you kind of got that a little bit there towards the end. So I don't know if that's a bad reflection on the police that weren't able to find, but maybe they just got lucky. But I thought that was pretty amazing thing to share. I'm definitely probably going to follow their YouTube page at this point. That's what people in Eastern Kentucky do. That's what Eastern Kentucky looks like. The logs are down on the ground. The trees are down. The branches, it's thick. You can't see more than 10 feet. Imagine being out there at night. I can't imagine. I would not want to be out there at night. So anyway, just something funny to look at. So hopefully that brightens your day a little bit there.
So I am super intrigued right now, and I bet you our listeners are even more intrigued than I am. How in the world are you going to pivot to college football?
Well, the way I'm going to pivot is that, that body was deteriorating, much like my picks last weekend. That's how I'm pivoting to football. Picks were not great last weekend. We did have 2 bad iron, deteriorating losses. I don't know how much football you watched, Fonty. I know you said you watched Baylor. It sounds like that was obviously a great win for Baylor. But I'm not, like I said in the first pod, I'm not here to talk about wins or losses. If I go 8-0 this weekend, I'm not going to come back next week and brag. And I hate when I see people online doing that. So, but I do like to talk about, and part of the reasons why I named this bad iron was because some of the bad beats, as SVP calls them on ESPN. And we did have 2 of those, and I believe they were both in the Big 12. I'm not sure. Like I said, I did not do good in the Big 12. I needed your help there. I'm just going to look at them right quick. So one of them was, Tulane against Oklahoma, I believe. And so I had Tulane. I thought Tulane would keep it close. They were getting 14.5. And it was 24-19 with 6 minutes to go in the game. 24-19, Oklahoma was ahead. And Tulane ends up losing by 15. So Tulane had scored and made it 24-19 and went for 2. They kick the extra point. We probably get the cover. They go for 2. They miss it. That's football. It's all football. Then they get the ball back. So 24-19, they get the ball back. Throw an interception. Stop Oklahoma. Then get a loss of downs as they're trying to score to win the game. Oklahoma kicks a field goal. 27-19. You can already see where this is kind of going. But anyway, and then they kick another field goal. I'm sorry, they scored a touchdown to make it 30-19. And then they kicked a field goal, 31-19. Then they make a field goal with 1 minute left after Tulane didn't make it on fourth down again to lose or to cover the spread by 15 points. That's just a bad iron beat. Would you have had Oklahoma in that game minus the 14?
1,000%. And it goes back to what I said in the very first podcast, right? Like, I'm a big believer when you have a power four now team playing a scrub. I'm always essentially taking the power four team, right?
Yeah.
I mean, certainly some of the spreads are 30 plus, 40 plus. I think you've done well on a couple of the 40 plus where you took the under or the dog, I should say. Yeah. And you ended up being right. But I mean, generally speaking, early in the season, I've always been a big believer in taking the favorite when a power four team is playing a scrub.
Yeah.
So,
but you have to admit, if you saw the score was 24-19 with 6 minutes left, and it was only a 5-point game, you're 2 scores behind at that point. You got to admit you'd have been sweating that one. So again, can go either way. It's football, but I just like to point out that was a fun one. There's 2 types of bad iron losses to me. That's one. The backdoor cover is a bad one, but I like that when that works for you. Like, we all probably know what that is, a backdoor cover when team plays prevent, they're up 2 touchdowns and play prevent. Sounds like Oklahoma wasn't playing prevent because Tulane should have been able to move the ball and get on a touchdown there. But again, it's your power four versus a scrub school, although I do think Tulane has a good coach, possibly the next coach at UK. Just teasing that one there again a little bit. But the other bad loss or other bad iron to me, other than a backdoor cover, is when a player, and this happens in all levels of football, and it's part of the game, but when one of the most important players gets hurt, unpredictable, unless it's a player like in the NFL that has a tendency to get hurt. If like Aaron Rodgers going down last year in the 4th play, you cannot predict that. To me, that's a bad iron loss. It's obviously great luck when you have the other side. But that happened with Wisconsin. That was one of my picks against Alabama, covering 17 at home. Obviously Jalen Milroe is amazing and could win the Heisman this year. But I thought Wisconsin would keep it close. But their QB was out on their second possession, and I think it was a tie game. So, another bad iron beat there. Would you have had Wisconsin or Alabama in that game? Plus 17 Wisconsin.
I think I would have
stayed away.
Yeah, I think I would have stayed away. Yeah, I mean, you got 2 power four schools playing. It's at Wisconsin. That's a big spread. I would probably have stayed away. I don't think it's wrong to have picked Wisconsin based on that spread. And I think you're right? When a player, especially a quarterback, goes down, that second string, especially in this NIL era, that second string guy is probably a freshman, for the most part, just the way quarterbacks are turning over and running through programs. So, quarterback goes down, you bring in a freshman. Now, I will tell you this, right? So I played golf last Saturday, and we teed off at 7. We're done at 11. I think the Alabama game was the 11 o'clock game on Fox, if I remember correctly. So we're in, the TV's up, and one of the guys in our group was like, oh, I bet on Wisconsin, got the points or whatnot. And I said to him, and we can bring him on the pod if we need to verify this, but I said to him, I'm like, the only thing about Alabama that's interesting is Milroe does 2 things really well. He runs the football and he throws it over the top. And I think that proved out very much so in that Wisconsin game from a defensive perspective. Wisconsin was not able to contain him. And then Alabama was able to get guys behind, behind the defense. Yeah. And Milroe hit several of those deep shots. So that was a point I made to him before the game started. But it's hindsight. Nobody believes me for saying that. So we're going to have to bring this guy on the pod so he can verify that I actually said that.
Not to believe it. That's a great point actually with, SEC teams in particular, the Alabamas of the world, and just the difference in speed sometimes with so a lot of the Big Ten teams. I don't want to make it a cliche that SEC is best or anything like that. I do actually think Big 12 historically has had better even athleticism than the Big Ten by far. So that's definitely but what the equalizer for Wisconsin would have been let's grind it out. Let's make this a slobber knocker. And then when their quarterback went down, they weren't able to move the ball. And then so they had to take some risks on defense. But anyway, no, I think it's a point well taken. And then probably why, when you see, especially teams with an athletic quarterback, when you can't really get to him very easily. I don't know how many times he got sacked, if any. But if you can't get to him, you can forget it with those athletic receivers. So anyway, let's get on to this weekend. I teased you up and teased in a quick 30-second one before this that we were just going to each pick 5 games and kind of give our best bets that way instead of just running through all the games. I think that's a better organized way to do it. So let's start with you. What's your first game? What's your best pick for this weekend that you got going on?
Man, I'm taking Baylor, going to Colorado, into prime times world. I think right now it's Colorado has given Baylor 2, so really the spread's irrelevant. I'm really calling this a Baylor win. I think last week we opened some things up. We switched quarterbacks. So our original quarterback, Finn, looked like he had a shoulder injury, was in a sling. By the way, that tells me a lot of why we lost to Utah, because he was likely injured in that game and did not tell the coaching staff, which is a whole other topic of conversation. But we put Sawyer Robertson in, and he looked fantastic. Man, that ball was coming out. He was hitting the unders, the over routes, did a fantastic job. Didn't run, so didn't expose himself to injury or risk. I think Sawyer's quarterback this week. Colorado, do they have a defense? I don't know. I mean, they've got this Hunter guy, probably should be top 3 pick. Yeah. But beyond him, I'm not sure. So I really don't think Colorado is going to do much to stop Baylor. And look, all the stats bear out. Dave Aranda is a defensive genius. Now that he's back calling plays, running that defense, it is stout. So I don't know. Is Sanders going to be able to pick us apart? That's probably the wild card. Can we get to Sanders? Can we blow up that offensive line a little bit? Can Aranda mix some coverages, bring some blitzes from some different places, kind of get into Sanders' head a bit? And then, we end up winning, say, 27-20. So yeah, Baylor's my number 1. I think we go to Colorado and get it done.
I like that pick. It's on my list. It's not in my top 5, but definitely one I was going to have as a backup. I agree with you. I've been fading Colorado. They bit me in the butt last week and showed up against their rival, Colorado State. But I love the fact if you can just slow down Colorado, they're gonna give you points. They're gonna make mistakes. They're athletic and great, but they're gonna give you on offense. They're gonna give you some points. So love that one. Go Bears. We're both on that one. I agree with you. So since you started with your team, I'm gonna go with mine. I had them last week in the under. I think I had them maybe in the first week in the under as well. I can't remember, but obviously they had a very good chance to beat Georgia. Showed up on the defensive side of the ball. Interesting stat here. Only 3 times since Kirby Smart has been at Georgia has Georgia been held to under 20 points. And all 3 times were at Kentucky. Now, they won all 3, but the only 3 times they were, and this one obviously was 13-12. Kentucky had the ball at 47 with 3 minutes to go and punted and didn't get the ball back till 3 seconds. Anyway, I think Kentucky showed up. Like I said, I had the under. I knew they'd make it a slobberknocker type of game, to use that word again. So they now face Ohio at home. They're giving 21 points to Ohio. I'm taking Ohio and the points in this one. It's a little bit of a trap game for Kentucky. They got number 5 Ole Miss next week. It's a letdown off of the Georgia game. Yeah, they played great. Ohio's not a great team. It's going against your Power 4 versus a weak team, but Ohio is a good running game. They can milk the clock. That's also what Mark Stoops likes to do. He likes to turn that clock and let the defense play. So my number 1 pick is going against my Cats. I do think they win the game, and I think they're going to give Ole Miss a game next week, but I think it's going to be more like a 13 or 15-point game instead of the 21. Any thoughts on that one, or was that on your list?
Oh, it was not. No, I stay away from Kentucky. It's a hard rule. I think you stay away from Baylor. You let me call that. I let you call the Cats. Wasn't even looking at them.
Okay. All right, you're number 2. Where are you going to go?
I'm staying in the Big 12. This is actually, I think it's going to be a really close game, but I think this is a terrible line. So -2.5. Oklahoma State's giving Utah 2.5. The game's at Oklahoma State. Look, I think I said on one of the previous pods that is not an environment that scares anybody. Certainly, nobody from Utah is going to come into Stillwater and get concerned about crowd noise and fans getting on them. But still, I kind of like this Oklahoma State team. I like what Gundy is up to. He kind of goes on this every other year sort of bandwagon. This might be his year. He might take this team to the Big 12 championship. Not sure he's going to pull it out in the Big 12 championship, kind of like he didn't against Baylor a few years ago. Wink, wink. But yeah, I think Oklahoma State covers that 2.5. Again, 2.5 seems like a weird number. You've got so much more experience in the gambling world than I do. Why 2.5? It's like might as well be a pick 'em. I mean, these games are not going to finish 31-30. And
Well,
watch me end up being wrong on that. But I'm
it'll
still
be
taking
31-30. If it's 31-30, man, you got to go get a lottery ticket. But and this is completely different in the NFL because of the way that the two games are now. College is changing and becoming more like the NFL every day, including the 2-minute warning, the clock not stopping anymore when the ball's out of bounds, things of that nature. So they're becoming a lot more similar in a lot of ways, and not just to mention the offenses and the defenses, but 2.5 is probably Vegas tempting you to take Oklahoma State. Vegas, and I'll just say this real quick, but Vegas or the bookmakers make lines not because they think that's what the final score is going to be, but in order to get the most even distribution of money on each side. That's how they win. They lose when you got 80% of the bets on Oklahoma State and Oklahoma State covers. That's when they lose. They want 50-50. So that tells me that a lot of people are thinking, oh, it's a field goal game. That tells me they think most of the money is going to come in on Oklahoma State, but they think Utah has a chance to cover. That's my thought. So anyway, again, not the case in the NFL. It's a different, almost half the spreads you'll see in the NFL are 3. Very seldom will you see a 2.5 in the NFL. Also, you got the 2-point conversions now in the NFL. So you're probably going to see a lot more of them. So anyway, that's my 2-minute rant about that.
Yeah, I mean, 3.5 seems logical to me because I see this game being close, actually. I think this has a very good chance of going to overtime. And, it's one of these things, if it goes to overtime, a field goal may decide it, right? Oklahoma State, obviously, if Utah kicks the field goal, they win, right? Because they're getting the points. But let's say they stop Utah and then they just run at 5 yards and decide to kick a field goal. Oklahoma State wins by 3 and they cover. So, it seems like to me it'd be smarter to put it at 3.5. But anyways, Vegas is way smarter than me and they've made way much more money than I.
Yeah. So anyway, no, I agree. I didn't have that one on my list. I'm staying away from the Big 12 for the most part. We have former Big 12 teams now in the SEC that we might get onto. So I agree with you there. I kind of like the Oklahoma State mostly because of the number. If it was 3 or 3.5, I probably wouldn't, like you said, wouldn't probably touch that one. So, okay, my next one, I'm trying to rank these just off the top of my head. I really want to bet want to talk about the Michigan USC game. We'll get to that one later. I'm going to, though, take a game. I think it's Friday night. There's not many great Thursday and Friday night games this week. But I'm going to take Illinois getting 7.5 on the road at Nebraska. Yes, Nebraska's a lot better than they've been in the past. I like this one because of the number at 7.5. If it was at 6.5, probably wouldn't touch this one. But again, I'm taking another road underdog, which is not like me typically. I like home underdogs, but I think Nebraska's played well this year. But I do think Illinois is good enough to keep this game pretty close going into the fourth quarter, although I think Nebraska might win. I'm guessing you have no opinion on this Big Ten juggernaut matchup, but it is 2 ranked teams. They're both ranked in the top 25.
Yeah, I got to say, I did look at this game, right? Because Matt Rule, Nebraska coach, former Baylor coach, got a special place in my heart for Matt Rule. So I was looking hard at this game. I just don't know enough about Illinois, and that line was kind of a little bit scary. So I actually kind of crossed it off my list and said, I'll just stay away from that one.
Yeah, Illinois has got a really good defense. They've had a good defense the last couple of years. So that's their strength. And when I get a really good defense that's getting points, that's usually what I like to do. So that's kind of my philosophy from the Illinois side of things. But yeah, Matt Rule, I think, is going to do good things at Nebraska. Seems like they've hired, I don't know how many coaches in the last 20 years to try to do something there. So kind of rooting for him to do something at Nebraska
You,
because
you
they
get,
kind of,
yeah, you got to, since you got the Chiefs logo behind you, have you seen the videos comparing the Nebraska quarterback to
yes.
Mahomes?
Oh yeah, even looks like him.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
it
Mahomes has
does.
commented on it several times. I didn't even know that guy existed until those videos, but now everybody knows him. So yeah, for that reason and that reason alone, I'll probably definitely watch this game on Friday night, tomorrow night. So okay, what do you got next?
I'm staying in the Big 12. I saw a bunch of good games, saw some teams I liked. So I'm taking TCU, right? So they're going cross town, heading into SMU territory. I think a lot of folks have been on SMU as some resurgent program. They found bags of cash, must laying under the stands. I don't know what happened there at SMU, and so money started flying around. I will say I like SMU's quarterback. I do think he's got a lot of potential. But TCU, to me, I think they're on the upswing. I think there's some good things going on there. I think their QB Hoover. I think he's kind of feeling his way into the season, feeling his way into this more leadership role. I expect them to go cross town and just lay a haymaker on SMU, kind of teach them that, look, your position in North Texas is here. Our position in North Texas is up here. I think that's going to happen. So I'm definitely on TCU right now. I think they're giving 3 to SMU as the current line.
Where is that game played? I don't know. I mean, does it even
It,
matter where that
it's
game's
at
played?
it should be at SMU. I
Yeah,
mean,
okay.
SMU is the home team. There is no neutral site because, I mean, look,
Yeah,
SMU graduates don't care about the program. That stadium holds like 6,000 people.
that's what I
I think
thought.
one of our high schools has a bigger stadium than SMU
Yeah,
does. So, just I expect TCU to throw the haymaker.
gotcha. Okay, cool. Next up for me, I'm gonna take again, a dog, but this is a home dog. Mississippi State getting 7 points against Florida. And this is simply because of the situation that Florida's in. I don't think Mississippi State is good at all. But they can play at home. And 7 points is quite a lot to be getting at home. And, I think Florida is a total dumpster fire. And I think Napier is gone probably during the season at some point this year. If they lose this game, he may even be gone. So, there's been lots of talks about the big wigs and I don't know what they're called, but the ones with the money at Florida having a lot of meetings this past week. So give me Mississippi State. I think it's going to be an ugly game. Give me getting 7 points at home. They're going to continue to get better. Mississippi State, they're on a trajectory up. Maybe it's a slow trajectory. I think Florida's on a big trajectory down. So that's just a strategy play. I don't know a whole lot about either of the teams except that they're both pretty bad. So I'm just doing this on a strategy play with the points. I'm guessing that was
Yeah, I
not on
think
your list
it's a
either.
good pick. Not on my list. I like the pick. I've called Florida dumpster fire from the very beginning. I'm shocked they didn't fire the guy this week. Probably deserved it, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to kind of root for your Mississippi State pick because their quarterback, Blake Shapen, I mean, he's as much a dumpster fire as Florida is. I'm
Was
glad
waiting for
he's gone
that.
from Baylor. Yep. Had to kind of toss the Shapen thing in there. I hope he's listening. Someone ping him on the on our new pod. But anyways, yeah, no. All good. All good. So you're probably wondering my next pick.
Yes. Let me guess.
I'm probably I'm gonna shock you. I'm gonna
It's
shock
not
you
a
here.
Big
Hang on,
12
I'm gonna
team?
shock you. It's not. It's a team that I've trashed on here. It's a team that I
Clemson.
probably. Well, yeah, you jumped the gun there, Andy. Come on.
Sorry.
But no, yeah, I'm taking Clemson. Look, I think North Carolina State. My understanding is their quarterback is out, so they're looking at some backup. I haven't even researched the backup. I just heard the quarterback was out. I think Clemson's got a bit of momentum. I think they've had a couple of solid performances. They put up some points. Maybe Cade Klubnik is figuring things out. Dabo's got that team motivated. They see what's happening down in Tallahassee. They know they've got really a clear path that they can, defeat Miami, or at least kind of stay with Miami going into the ACC championship game. So I'm taking Clemson. I know it's a huge spread. That's one hurts. I'm calling it a flyer. It's not something I would normally do, but I've just kind of got a gut feeling here that Clemson's going to come in and really put it to North Carolina State.
All right, Clemson, I like it. You're going with running Davos there at Clemson. Yeah, I mean, so it's a segue into my next pick, and that's going to be the Tennessee-Oklahoma game, which is a great game. And if that's your next one, we can maybe add another one. But Tennessee trounced NC State, and I think that's when the quarterback got hurt, perhaps. But I'm taking one of the Big 12 teams, former Big 12. I'm taking Oklahoma getting 7 at home. Tennessee, yes, I think they're a great team. And I think their offense is unbelievable, but they have not been tested this year at all by any. Oklahoma has, had some good games already. So, and they burned me last week with that bad iron beat. So I'm taking Oklahoma plus 7. You know this team pretty well. You've been on them maybe a couple times already this year. But it's not necessarily just that they don't even have to win the game. But I think that home field advantage against Tennessee, I think this is their first SEC game. So they want to make an impression. I don't think they're going to have a great year overall, but I think they're going to cover the 7.
Well, I think that's a reach. I have a bunch of Oklahoma buddies. Yeah, I got a bunch of Oklahoma buddies, and all they do is down their team. I don't know. I mean, I see where you're going. I see what you're thinking there. It's definitely going to be a heck of a game to watch, and I'll be kind of flipping back and forth, or maybe go split screen now that they've got these cool split screen things you can do with your provider, because the Baylor game is on at 7:00, and this game I think starts at 6:30 Central Time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would probably just stay away from it. I'll just say it that way. I would stay away from this game.
Yeah. All right. Well, that'll be a fun one to talk about next time after that game's over. A good one to watch too. We'll say on to our 5th pick. What do you got in your 5th pick here today, Fonty?
Yeah, dude, I'm going against what I normally talk about from a philosophy perspective. I even mentioned it at the start of this podcast. So I'm taking Louisiana Monroe. I think I'm getting 44.5 points against Texas. I mean, look, Texas, Arch Manning last week, he did look good. I saw this fantastic clip where Arch achieved like 20.7 miles per hour on one of his scrambles, for a touchdown. And that was faster than Tyreek Hill's fastest time recorded in the NFL this year. Dang. So I guess this kid's got some wheels, but man, I don't know. It's one thing to kind of have to jump into the game, not have spent the week preparing, not spending the week being the man. This week, he's having to go through all of that. He couldn't just step into a game and start slinging the ball and running around and doing whatever the heck he wanted to, which is what happened last week. This week, he's the guy. Everybody's looking at him, and there's big expectations, huge expectations. So I really think, I like Louisiana Monroe. I think Texas still wins this game, 49-7, but that's a cover.
That's a cover.
So I'm taking the points.
You sound like me on that pick a little bit, loving the big spreads, but you had a little bit more behind it as far as, the new quarterback. So real quick, is there other quarterback out for a long period of time, or are they just switching?
No, I think he got hurt. I think it was a shoulder. I don't pay much attention. I just know he was hurt, and he's going to sit out this week. Okay. Probably precautionary because the SEC schedule gets crazy, and I don't think they're worried about beating Louisiana Monroe. So Arch is going to play.
Okay. Yeah, they got Georgia, I think, coming to town in 2 weeks. Georgia has to play at, I think it's Alabama next week, and then Texas on the road. So that's a pretty rough schedule. Anyway, okay. My last pick. I've got a few I was trying to choose from, but I'm gonna stick with one of my favorite things to bet on, which is a home dog, and I've had bet against Michigan once and for Michigan another time. That's my play. Is Michigan getting right now? It's at 5.5. It might even move to 6 at home at the Big House against USC. I do think Michigan is not the same team they have been. I don't like to bet on cheaters all the time. But I think they're progressing in the right direction, and I don't think USC they got the big win against LSU, but that was on a neutral field. When I watched some of that game, there were just as many USC fans there as LSU fans. It might have even, I think it was it in Dallas, or I don't remember, but maybe it was in the Superdome. But regardless, that wasn't really a home game for LSU. LSU squeaked by South Carolina last week, got a few lucky breaks on South Carolina's offense. So I like Michigan getting points at home always. Didn't work out for me against Texas, but I think Texas is 3 touchdowns better than USC. So any thoughts on that one? Or I know you're staying away from that one probably.
I looked at that one. I have not followed Michigan this year, so I kind of like what you're saying. I was probably thinking Michigan because I was surprised that USC traveling from SoCal up to Michigan. I never like when a team has to travel a long way. Which, by the way, I mean UCLA and USC are going to be traveling like crazy dogs this year. That may be an interesting play later in the season. So, yeah, I mean, I like what you're saying. I just don't know enough about where Michigan is at this year and whether they can, really hang with USC. That quarterback's pretty interesting. USC's got. He's played pretty well this year.
Yeah, it seems like they just roll out great quarterbacks every year, no matter who the coach is there. But Lincoln Riley obviously knows quarterbacks pretty well. Rumored to be maybe heading to Chicago pretty soon to be reunited. I don't know. We'll see about that, if that's a thing or not. I don't know if you've heard that one, but that's just a little something out there that I'll throw out there. But anyway, so yeah, it's been fun going through these. I have one more real quick tidbit about tonight's game. We're not touching NFL today, but I have a stat for tonight's game, which is in the NFL. The Jets are facing the Patriots. Jets at home against the Patriots. It's not the best Thursday night game ever, but the Patriots just had an overtime loss on Sunday, which was a push for me last weekend, but overtime loss. But teams since 2002, so 22 years of data, NFL teams since 2002 coming off an overtime loss with 4 days of rest or less, 4 days of rest, which they have, are 3-23 against the spread. So I'm going with the Jets tonight. If you like to play trends, that's quite a trend. They don't have to travel far. And I loved your point about college and travel because this is new to college teams. They're not used to traveling across the country. They play in their southeastern region or their Pac-12 region, what used to be the Pac-12. So I'm not making this my play. I'm just giving everybody that stat. If you have it tonight, that's the stat. 3-for-23 against the spread. Teams coming off an overtime loss with less than 4 days of rest. There you go. Jets -6 is that play if you like it.
Awesome data. Awesome.
Love data. All right, man. Been good talking to you. Can't wait till we get together soon. Do a podcast together. Adios, my man.
Yeah, love it.
All right.
Take care.
See ya.